What is up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to show you how market regimes have shifted and how order flow is not what you think it is. I actually made a video right here called Order Flow Doesn't Work, and this is going to be a part 2 of that. So if you want to see how markets have actually shifted in today's regime, because like this year is not the same as last year, something has completely shifted, then this video is for you, because chances are a lot of what you guys are being taught, learning, or whatever is not working in today's environment. Okay, so if you're struggling, I want to share with you what is happening. So with that being said, a lot of people in the last video in the comments section, I said in that video, and we're going to rant for a moment. I said in that video, you need to watch it multiple times. Chances are you guys didn't watch it multiple times because you're only retaining 8 to 10% of the information coming from the video. And it's very evident by what some people were saying in the comments section, because a lot of people were addressing how I was talking about the cancellations in the markets and just how aggressive they are and the wide spreads and all that. But two things people didn't really address. The first one was Bitcoin moving on no order flow. And the second one, which I think is more important, is how NQ and ES move exactly the same in today's environment. And I'm going to prove that to you guys. They move exactly the same in today's environment. And a year ago, maybe 10 months ago, somewhere in that time frame, that used to not be the case. In fact, Russell is also moving the same. And we're going to show you in this video, because understanding that these markets no longer move individually is shaping today's landscape and why things are just different. Something has shifted. So I'm going to show you guys. Alrighty, guys, you're not going to be able to see my face in this because we're looking at the market at 1:33 p.m. because I had a hater come into the last video and said I wasn't recording during regular trading hours. So I just want to show you that this is definitely regular trading hours. So due to the way my setup is wired, we can't really look at my face and my trading DOM at the same time. So what I'm going to do is like zoom in a little bit right here, and we're going to pan it so you guys can get a good look at the DOMs. Okay, so NQ and ES move exactly the same. So if you've not watched that video, I recommend it. It'll be in the description. You should go check it out. So the thing about it is you got NQ on the left and you got ES on the right. Now I'm not going to slow any footage down because we're looking at this during a legit environment. As you can see, I'm manually clearing orders and shit. So to kind of reference what's going on, and there seems to be a flame on the screen. It seems like I'm having an issue here where like there's a glitch in the fucking matrix. So let's go ahead and fix that real quick. All right. So yeah, the market orders come in at exactly the same time. So this is an uncompressed DOM. You can see how it goes 22, 22, 25, 22, 50, 22, 75, 23. So NQ is uncompressed, ES is uncompressed as well. So what I said in that last video is if NQ staying in like roughly an 8-tickish range, somewhere in there, ES stays on the spread. Now it's really hard to get a view of that, but they are moving at exactly the same time. Now watch NQ dump, ES dumps at the exact same time, okay? So these market orders are printing at almost exactly the same time. It is a little different because NQ is thinner, so there's going to be some drifting. Now, bear with me. You're going to have to watch this multiple times to really grasp what I'm saying here. So if NQ stays roughly between 18 and 15s, ES will stay right here, but they're moving so much because there's some volatility going on. So I'm trying to do this live. Okay, pulling back at exactly the same time. So let's get a better look at this. Let me actually tick compress NQ DOM. So NQ is compressed 8 ticks. So people said aggregate your DOM, that'll fix the problem. Well, The DOM has been aggregated, it's been compressed. So the DOM is, every 8 ticks is showing as 1 tick on Jigsaw. So people ask me, what do you use Jigsaw trading? If you're interested in the DOM, you can save $30 on it. Also, that's the thing, I do talk about the usefulness in that last video. I had a guy tell me how order flow is useful, but then he admitted to commenting 15 minutes into the video, so he never made it to that part. And I said that was going to happen in that video. I knew people were going to run their mouths without actually finishing the video. Anyways, watch this. Now that it's compressed, they're going to be moving at exactly the same time. Okay? These are basically the same products now. Moving up at exactly the same time. Now, I'll never really be able to tick compress NQ to give it to move exactly with ES. We can try to adjust it to maybe a 7-1. Let's see what happens. So now it's adjusted 7 to 1. So every tick you see here is really 7 ticks. So when you see it move up and down a tick here, it's going 7 ticks. But notice how they're dumping at exactly the same time. Notice how they're dumping at exactly the same exact time. Now, if they pull back, they're going to pull back at roughly the exact same time. Or if they're going to puke, they're going to puke at exactly the same time. Pulling back at the same time, right? Pulling back at exactly the same, dumping at exactly the same time. Dumping at exactly the same time. If they're going to pull back, they're going to pull back at exactly the same time. There they go, pulling back slightly, watching them, realigning the DOM, bing, at exactly the same time. Again, this is during a trading hours. I showed you the clock. Pulling back at exactly the same fucking time, roughly the same distance, okay? Moving at exactly the same fucking time. This is the part of the last video people didn't seem to fucking mention in the comments section. If you didn't watch that video, you should watch it. Dumping at the same time. If they're going to pull back, they're going to pull back at the same fucking time. I know one's going a little further than the other, but that's because ultimately look, they dumped rapidly at the same fucking time. Somebody's like, you cuss so much. Are you frustrated? It's like, no, dude, it's called passion. What do you want me to talk like this the whole time? And they're going down at the exact same time. Oh, look at that. They're stalling it. You want me to put you to sleep? I'm going to yell. So you guys can wake the fuck up. Alright? Go ahead and erase that shit. Moving up at the same time. If they're gonna pull back, they're gonna pull back at the same fucking time. Moving up at the same fucking time. Moving up at the same time. Moving up at the same fucking time. Moving up at the same time. It's the same fucking markets at this point. Dumping at the same time. NQ left, ES right. Okay? See, this is an important ingredient into what the fuck I was saying. Okay? What's happening is the market orders that are hitting here at exactly the same time. I don't know how much more fucking evidence you guys need to see that these are pretty much the same markets at this point. Because there used to be a time, and not even a year ago, like if you look at my old coffee videos, and by the way, if you're interested in subscribing to the coffee, link in the description, you might have to copy and paste it into the URL bar above, because sometimes it ain't fucking working. When you link on it, it's coffee.com/fatcats of Wall Street. You can look at my old footage, well over a year now, of just trading footage. NASDAQ used to move, and ES would reload. They used to move different. Now they're moving at exactly the same, and it's been like this for several fucking months. Now they're moving exactly the same, okay? It used to not be like this, all right? And if the DOM's uncompressed, like I know there's all these micro movements in it, and yes, it's compressed, okay? But like I said in the last video, okay? Like I said in the last video, if NQ is stuck in roughly a 8-tick range, 12 to 8 tick range, then ES will be stuck exactly on the spread, which is happening now. Let's go ahead and uncompress it. So I'm going to do a 2-to-1 on NQ. So the DOM is, I guess, aggregated like you guys think, but just because you aggregate a DOM doesn't mean that the problems that I'm explaining still don't exist, and you need to understand that the market environment is fundamentally different. So this is 2 to 1 because, like, you can see it goes 50, 78, 78, 50, 79 instead of quarters, right? Like ES is 70, 25, 50. It goes in quarters over here too. If this was uncompressed, it'd be going off my screen. So roughly, you're looking at roughly if it's stuck in a 4-tick range, NQ, ES will be stuck on just the tick. But you can still see that how they're moving exactly the same on a 2 to 1 compression. Yes, NQ moves more because it's uncompressed. And when people are like, oh, I trade NQ because it has more volatility, it's like, dude, it's the exact same thing as ES at this point. Doesn't matter. This volatility is an illusion, okay? And the problem is when you have it uncompressed, the spreads are really wide on NQ. Let's uncompress it. So, I mean, the spreads are not on top of each other. It can get pretty wide, and I've showed in that last footage how there can be, like, right here, nothing traded for 3 prices. The bid completely pulled right there for 3 prices. And then when it went up, the bid didn't, now it populates, right? Now it populates, right? Right here, it didn't trade for like 3 prices, didn't trade for a price there. But you got to understand it's backing up really quick and filling them in. So if we're rapidly spam clearing the market orders, you'll see it spreading, and you'll see where it doesn't even trade. Because it'll back up and fill those voids. Right there, that was right there. There was like a 4-tick area where the bid completely pulled. And by the way, because somebody's like, oh, it doesn't get that fucking wide in regular trading hours. It's like, I just showed you that we are still, oops, that's the wrong button. We're still in the fucking trading session. You goddamn fucking mook. All right. With that being said, it does spread, and if we slow the footage down, we can see that. But that's not the point of this video, because we do that in the last video. All right? So we can see that, like, it moves exactly the same. We can see that NQ is pulling limits. When NQ is pulling limits, they're spoofing. Essentially, we're having a lot of spoofing going on. And people are like, well, isn't that illegal? Yeah, it's fucking illegal. Okay? When we look at Bitcoin, so let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin again. Here's Bitcoin right here, which, by the way, it moves. I'm going to have to, like, zoom out because, like, it moves on 0 fucking contracts for the most part. See how it's going up and down on no fucking contracts? This is a real contract, and it's might get filled, but notice how the bid and offer are going to be going up on fucking virtually no contracts. Again, nobody addressed this. Nobody addressed, okay, there's your real contracts. Look at it dumping. Look at it dumping on no market orders. Same exchange as ES and NQ, by the way, okay? Well, what I've proved in this video is NQ and ES are moving exactly the same. When market orders are not hitting ES until there's some form of movement in NQ. And if NQ is constantly canceling, because NQ is like Bitcoin almost. The spread is moving on NQ. They're pulling it last second, and you're seeing them pull it to where you can see up to 4 ticks not even get hit. Okay? And this is the important thread to that. When NQ is canceling and essentially spoofing, right? They put it there like they wanted to get filled, but then they cancel it like that. That's spoofing. If you look up the definition of spoofing according to the government, that's what that is. And people are like, well, it's illegal. How are they not getting caught? Oh, fucking no. I know blind eyes are being turned towards this shit. And then people are freaking out. What do you do? What do you do? And I mean, what are we going to do? It's like, dude, like, I'm trading just fine, right? I'm trading just fine. Slips and reclaims. I always reference that. We're going to talk about slips and reclaims. And then I'm going to introduce you to stocks, all right? But if NQ is spoofing and canceling orders, well, fuck. Then that's affecting ES. Why? Because ES and NQ are moving exactly the same. I just showed you how they move exactly the fucking same. NQ, ES, moving exactly the same. The market orders hit here at exactly the same time they're hitting over here. Stuck in the same fucking little range. If they're going to blow out, they're going to blow out at exactly the same time. And if NQ is pulling orders and it spoofs the market and it dumps 4 fucking ticks, it's going to affect ES. ES is also spoofing orders. Look, they're dumping at the same exact time, They're pulling back at exactly the same time. Again, I'm never going to get the tick compression just right. Look, that print's down here. They're basically both bottom ticking at the exact same time. Again, this is like a 701. Now, if they pop up, they're going to pop up at exactly the same time. You can see the way they're dancing up and down, order flow aside, is the same. And it's very apparent I need to repeat this shit because you guys don't seem to be fucking listening. You guys don't seem to be fucking listening. Some of you are. Some of you are. But they're moving at the... And that's who I do this for. The people that actually can fucking pay attention and not open their mouth up before they finish a fucking video. The guy that did that is a quant. You should be ashamed of yourself for not finishing. And then I said somebody like you was going to do that. I said people like you are going to comment before they finish the video. And then you admitted that you commented before you finished the fucking video. You should be ashamed of yourself. I called that. I called that out. Part of trading success is understanding context and building a narrative. I hope the fuck you aren't speculating like that. I hope that God you aren't fucking speculating on partial information and making decisions on outcomes on partial information. Because when you're partially consuming what I'm presenting and only retaining a fraction of what I'm fucking saying and then arguing about it, I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, that's probably reflecting in your trading. So these markets are the same. So which order flow is real? Which one do I look at? Do I look at the order flow here? Or do I look at the order flow here? Which one's the real one? Now that they move the same, which one do you look at? Because they used to not move the same. They used to not move the same. Well, it moves differently when it's unfucking compressed. Yes, it does. But even when it was uncompressed a year ago, okay? NQ would fucking rip and rip and rip and rip and rip, and it would keep going up. It'd rip up 20 points, and ES would get stuck right in a fucking 8-tick range and just keep reloading and reloading and reloading and reloading and reloading. Used to be able to see NASDAQ just rip in one direction, far enough that it should move ES, at least in today's environment, but it didn't back then. Now, they are moving exactly the fucking same. Guess who else is moving exactly the same? Who, fat cat? Hopefully you made it to this part of the fucking video. If you made it to this part of the video, say I made it to this part of the video in a comment section so I fucking know. Here's Russell, uncompressed. Russell has nothing to do with what... Oh, look, they're dumping at the same time. Russell has nothing to do... And watch, they're going to backtick at the same time. Notice how Russell has 0 contracts trading at some of these ticks, by the way. Doing exactly what NQ does, because it's thinner, right? ES does the same thing, but ES will have... It'll like, see how thin... See, ES had a 12-lot trade right there. ES had a 4-lot trade there. So ES is moving on roughly 4 lots to 20 lots, depending. But if we clear ES right here, that just moved on a 16-lot. I know they backtracked and filled it, but what's being advertised on the depth's not what's being traded. So a lot of these limits, a lot of the size and the limits are just canceling last second. That's spoofing, okay? When you're canceling orders last second without the intentions of having it get filled, which they're doing that on both directions, that's spoofing. That's illegal, right, Fat Cat? It is. But goddamn it, blind eyes are turned. The guy that caused the flash crash, Nav, complained to the SEC. They didn't do shit about it. In the moment he, quote-unquote, caused the flash crash, then they gave a fuck, okay? But notice Russell. Notice how Russell has a spread. Notice how it went up. And then a 2-lot just hit there. You see that? Let me actually... The same thing we see in Bitcoin and the same thing we see on NASDAQ is happening in Russell. Look how the... So it is hitting, right? Going up. Notice how the bid is pulling. 3-lot hit. Nothing traded there. Okay. The markets are spreadier than what you think. But we'll see times where Russell moves on 0 contracts. See how it's doing that right there? But aside from that, and I think we do need to be zoomed out a little bit, these markets are moving at exactly the same time. Russell has nothing to do with what ES and NASDAQ has. It has nothing to do with NVIDIA, and it has nothing to do with Amazon. It has nothing to do with Microsoft. It's small caps. Small caps are what's in Russell, okay? Small caps are what's in Russell. The basket of stocks that make up Russell are not the same basket of stocks that make up ES and NASDAQ. Why the fuck are they moving at exactly the same time? Why are these two markets moving at exactly the same time? Why are we watching them move up and down at exactly the same time? Now, I made some videos on correlations with Russell and why I use it. That video is almost not valid anymore because then Russell kind of moved with ES and NASDAQ, but then it would do its own thing. Now it's moving almost exactly the same. Okay. There's a time there's a little bit of a drift because it's thinner. The liquidity is thinner. So naturally, it's not going to move tick for tick with ES, but notice how they're dumping at the same time, rising up at the same time, rising up at roughly the same time, dumping at the same time, rising up at roughly the same time, dumping at the same time, dumping at the same time. Oh, look at that liquidity. Oh, it went for the liquidity. Some of you guys are like, yeah, just trade in the liquidity. Well, what the fuck? Which market do I need to look at if they're all moving the same? Look at them backing up the same. If they dump, if this comes to 43.75, this is going to go down. Oh my God, I just said that would happen and it did. And they back up the same. It's been like this for a while, folks. You guys think me yelling and I'm just like surprised? No, it's called passion. And it's to fucking wake you guys up. I mean, do you really want me to be some boring fuck that talks with the monotone? Then you'll definitely not listen. I like to yell and scream. I'm a screamer. I'm a screamer, baby. Look at them dumping at the same time, dumping at the same time, dumping at the same time, backing up at roughly the same time. Yeah, they're going to be a little different because the liquidity is different. Uncompressed, Russell. Both of these are uncompressed, dumping at the same time. Dumping at the same... Oh, look at that. It pulled. It's dumping on nothing wanting to trade here. Oh, but there's a stall. Oh, they pulled back at exactly the same time. So with that being said, well, how's the fucking order flow real? I know the contracts are actually being traded, right? Yeah, the orders are real, but they ain't natural. And if it's unnatural, then in my opinion, it's not real, right? When you fucking see the magician pull the rabbit out of the hat, he has a real rabbit and he has a real hat. It looks like he really pulled the rabbit out of the fucking hat, but it's a fucking illusion. He showed you the hat before he pulled the rabbit out of it, and there was no rabbit in it. That's exactly what's happening here, folks. So let me ask you this. If you can really read the order flow in fucking ES, then which one's real if they're all moving at the same? ES, Russell, or NASDAQ? Which one's the real one? Or do you have to now read all three? I'd love to see somebody answer this in the comments section, because I don't think somebody is. Which one's the real one? Which one do I look at? If they're all moving at the exact... Well, they're arbitraged, fat cat. Well, you see, you're telling me when NASDAQ is canceling a bunch of fucking orders, that's not going to influence... Look at them dumping at the same time. Come on. Come on. Here's Bitcoin futures again. Moving on nothing. Watch it move on nothing. Let's actually zoom all the way the fuck out. Let's watch Bitcoin futures move on absolutely nothing. Hey, do you know what... Oh, look at that. Hey, do you know what Bitcoin, ES, NASDAQ, and Russell all have in common? Do you know what they all have in common? They're all on the same exchange. They're all on the same exchange. Do you know what Russell, NASDAQ, and ES have in common? They all move the same. Do you know what Russell, NASDAQ, and ES don't have in common? The basket of stocks that comprise of them. Russell is small caps. ES and NASDAQ don't have the same stocks. But for some reason, the futures markets are moving exactly the same. So for all the geniuses in the comments section, go ahead and explain that. Somebody explain that. I'll tell you what my opinion is. It's all arbed. The markets are... I even said it in the last video. The markets are so globally arbitraged at this point. Here's the chart of Bitcoin futures at this point. Only a one lot hit here, but where these yellow lines are or where the bid and offers are, it's moving up and down on zero contracts. Somebody explain why that's happening. Oh, wait, I already did explain what's happening. The underlying asset. That's what's moving it. The underlying asset is what's moving it, the Bitcoin. What's moving ES, NQ? The stocks. The markets are so globally connected at this point that they're so arb they moved at exactly the same. ES and NQ did not used to move like this, by the way. This is a more recent phenomenon. So if ES and N, I'm going to put it up so you can get that visual. And Russell as well. This used to not be a problem. Now that it's a problem, it's going to affect all your chart patterns, all your indicators, everything. Everything is being affected. And I'm seeing other professional traders talking about today's environment. Today's environment is different. I've had a phone conversation with Merritt. He says it looks like volatility, but it's not. He's had to make adjustments. You're seeing it. And then this guy named John Locke, who I love his option videos, he starts talking about Russell fakeouts because now the markets seem to be faking out a lot more. You know what it looks like to me? It looks to me like one entity is almost moving all of it. Like I said in the last video, I don't think half of the fucking order flow you're seeing here is legit. Yeah, it's really trading, but I think they're trading with themselves. The markets are moving too much the same now. There is no individuality. It wasn't like this until this year, folks. Now, was it starting to get progressively more and more like this? Yeah, it was. But it used to not be like this. So since this is happening, it's going to affect everything else. It is. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and look at some charts. By the way, so this is Russell on the right, ES on the left. Same V formation. This section of chopping here is almost the same. Now now Russell does drift a little bit more, but you can see a lot of the same, and these are 3-second charts. You can see a lot of the same thing. Like if I put my global crosshair, like this flush up happened the same. Again, unrelated products, right? Now it is looking different here because this is drifting down and Russell's kind of hitting this pivot, which wasn't there earlier. Oh, here we go. Let's actually go back. So like looking in this section here, same rough amount of chopping. They both rip up exactly the same here. I know they deviate, but this chopping is in the same section. This drop is in the same section. Let's keep scrolling to the left. Drop is in the same section. This chopping up here, same section. Keep going. See this dump here on ES? Same dump here. Same recovery. Same recovery. Okay? Now, I know they're slightly varied, but we saw on the DOM how they're moving quite a bit the same. Now, they're going to look slightly different on the charts because one is thinner than the other, so there's naturally a drift. That's why when you look at NASDAQ, it looks slightly different on the chart because it doesn't move exactly the same. It moves almost the same, but due to that lesser liquidity, there's going to be a little bit of drift, and there are the occasional natural orders that do come in. So that's going to kind of misalign it a little bit. It's like when some real orders actually hit like ES, but not Russell. That's like hitting a rock on the road with your car. It's going to jerk the steering wheel a little bit versus Russell where that didn't happen and it just kind of smooth rolls. But we saw how they move almost exactly the same. We're seeing a lot of these dumps are almost exactly the same. Okay? So, I talked to a trader earlier today, and he was telling me how he uses NASDAQ, and I did this presentation. I go, dude, it's the same goddamn product. He's using NASDAQ to time ES. And I go, when you really boil it down, they're moving exactly the same as the same bit. That's not good. You don't want something like that that is so correlated to lean on. You don't want to be leaning on just NASDAQ and ES on both if you're trading those one or the other product. You don't want to be trading ES trades but relying on NASDAQ. It's the same thing. So if it's going to stop, run, or blow out against your ES trade, they're going to happen at exactly the same time in the same place. When I made my market correlations videos, that's part 1 right here. You got why Russell 2000. And then market correlations 2. That's over 11 months ago on this. When I made these videos, and they'll all be in the description, the Russell one was made in February. Markets are starting to kind of do more and more of what we see today. But back when I was doing those videos, they did have their individualities. Like NASDAQ would rip up a lot, ES would get reloaded, you'd see Russell dumping, and ES would be kind of stuck between Russell and NASDAQ, where NASDAQ and Russell would be going two different directions, and ES would be kind of stuck, and then all three would align, they would go, and then NASDAQ, Russell would all drift apart. Sometimes ES would move with NASDAQ, sometimes it didn't. Now they're all moving the same, and it's been like this for a while. And we can see how the charts look almost identical on right now, which is, it's still live trading session. It's what, 2:13. So the markets are moving more and more the same. That's going to affect everything. So again, what product is the order flow legit in? Which one do you have to watch now if they're all moving the same? One of them? Well, the problem is the order, again, you got shit canceling. The order flow disappears, like on NASDAQ or Russell, just like Bitcoin. So they all stop run at the same time. By the time you see it on the tape, it's too late. So the thing is, I don't think you can no longer read order flow to get into a trade. Now let's take a look at actual stocks here. Oh, by the way, this is today's performance right here. 8/8/24. Earlier in the session, you can see the clock at the top. It's 2:18 right now. Still recording the same goddamn fucking session. All right, let's take a look at fucking stocks. So we need to understand stocks here, because stocks are what's moving ES, NASDAQ. I don't know about fucking Russell at this point. Something's funny is going on. But, you know, people are like, what do we do? And it's like, dude, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been trading slips and reclaims. I've told you guys to go watch the slip and reclaim video a million fucking times. It's in the description. That's what I'm doing. All right? And I'm going to explain. This is your introduction to stocks. All right, so we got NVIDIA on the left, in the middle Microsoft, and on the right Amazon. Why do I have these three? Because you have the Magnificent Seven, which also has Google, Meta, Tesla. When you look at these three products individually, and we'll go ahead and do that. This is NVIDIA, okay? Here's ES right here on the right. Now, watch how NVIDIA rips up. ES moved at almost the exact same time. Notice how NVIDIA is going up. ES and NASDAQ are going up at the same time. Notice how as NVIDIA stall, NASDAQ and ES are stalling. NVIDIA is ripping up. NVIDIA is pulling back. What just happened? ES and NASDAQ just pulled back. Just like the Bitcoin example, Bitcoin futures are not being moved because of their own order flow. Futures are not being moved on their own order flow. Yes, these are real orders coming in. Yes, it's order flow, but it's all coming in at exactly the same time. It's not natural order flow. It's one machine pushing it all at the same goddamn time. There's your liquidity right there. Oh, I just traded the liquidity. Oh, it disappeared. Now they popped it here and it got filled. But no liquidity showed up right there. And what do? You trade into the liquidity, against the liquidity? What is it? How are you going to hold it, right? You can't read order flow to make entry decisions. Now, order flow is not entirely useless. Look, they just all dumped at the same time with NVIDIA. With NVIDIA. This is what's moving futures. It's no longer the futures order flow that's moving futures. Whatever's going on in futures, it is my belief it is the same entity, because it's all moving at exactly the same. I mean, I've showed you. It's undeniable. I mean, the only people that are going to argue are the people who didn't listen or make it through this. They're moving the same. It used to not be like this. Now it's like this. So what does that do? It affects everything else. All right? Affects your fucking VWAPs and all that bullshit. So NVIDIA moves with ES and NASDAQ pretty perfectly. Okay? Microsoft will do it too, right? And so does Amazon. Okay, now there's times where NVIDIA will move and ES and NASDAQ don't move at all. You'll see. So there are times where they're all ripping up at exactly the same time. So notice how NASDAQ is dumping just slightly. Let's see if we can see that. They may be so synced up. Notice how NVIDIA ripped up. Now ES and NASDAQ are going up. Took a second. Took a second. But you'll get these moves in NASDAQ where ES and NVIDIA, or ES, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused here. This is an in pattern, which is failing. You'll get these moves where NVIDIA moves and ES and NASDAQ aren't moving with it. Okay? Because you got to understand that ES and NASDAQ are comprised of a lot of stocks, not just NVIDIA. NVIDIA is not the only one moving them. NVIDIA definitely has a heavy influence. Okay? When we look at something like Microsoft, it'll do it too. So if we watch Microsoft, Microsoft is dumping a little bit, shoving up, getting a lot of stall on ES, NASDAQ. Now, Microsoft dumped real low. Notice how they just dumped too. Okay. But notice how the charts look different between NVIDIA, Microsoft, and Amazon. They're different. They're definitely different enough. Okay. They're all moving at the same time, which is great. But notice how Microsoft pulled back real hard. You didn't quite get a hard... I mean, you got a little bit of a pullback here. So they are moving at exactly the same time right now. Same exact movements. Okay? Same exact movements. Now they're going to drift apart where they don't stay the same. So far, it's pretty spot on. Microsoft is pulling up harder than these two, right? They're all dumping at the same time, moving at the same time. There's going to be a point where they start to get more individualized. How long is that going to last in the marketplace? I don't fucking know. But the charts are definitely different. So if we look at the higher time frames of these charts, this is 10-second charts. They're different. Notice Amazon is ranging a lot. Notice how this is at the top of a range, this is the bottom of the range, this is in the middle of a range. They're different enough. And again, you're going to see points where, again, 3-second here, where they're going to move individually. You're going to see points where NASDAQ rips up, or NVIDIA, I'm sorry, I get the two confused. You're going to see points where NVIDIA moves, watch, it dumps, ES is wanting to stroke with it because all three went at the same time. But why am I using these three? Okay, well, let's pull up Apple. Here's Apple. Now, if Apple's evidently in a range. Apple's in... When you look at all the Mag 7, they're always in a different area. So the markets overall globally are really moving the same. Apple dumping. Yes, dumping. But you know who else is moving with Apple? These fuckers, right? These guys are moving with it. They're all kind of in sync right now. The entire market as a whole is somewhat in sync on these micro movements, right? That's a range right there, and it's blowing out. Now, notice Apple pulled back, and ES did not move up. So it's desunked. Now it's dragging up, but that's probably because the other stocks are moving up too. So when I isolate all the Mag 7, the ones that move the best with ES and NASDAQ are influencing them the most. Because you're going to see, like, Apple do some... Look, you're going to see Apple do some shit. I don't know if it's going to happen. Because we're actually recording a session. It's 2:26. And I can't force these lessons. Apple's drifting up. ES is dumping. You can see the order flow. See, that's where it's kind of drifted apart. Apple's going up. ES is stroking up. But that's because all the other stocks are moving up and down, up and down. If we fucking look at this... Microsoft's ripping up, which has a shitload of influence on it all, in my opinion, compared to Apple. Very much in sync. The markets are getting more and more globally armed and connected to where it all moves the same. Apple dumps, Apple pulls back. Apple dumps. Let's see if we can get any individuality here. We're seeing it briefly. Boom, they all just shit at the same exact fucking time. All of it. 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 It's getting more and more globally connected to where it's becoming more and more exact. Now, these markets are individual. Look how Apple pulled up. Microsoft didn't quite do it. And again, when you look at these higher time frames, they're pretty different. Here's Meta, by the way. Meta is popping up. Everything's so in sync right now. Meta's dumping. Meta's popping up. Notice how Meta just popped up and ES isn't quite moving the way Meta did. Now a little bit. They're so in sync. I'm not getting that drift. The markets are becoming more and more in sync. So how do we do that? Like, where's the edge? How do you do this? Well, what we know is reclaims and slips are always happening, right? So let's pull up NVIDIA. And you can see me doing it in the coffee. So we see that there's all these reclaim and slip zones. If you've not watched the reclaim and slip zone video, you need to watch it. But they're always filling in the reclaims. Always filling in their own reclaims. Always wanting to take their reclaims back. Even ES is doing it too. If we look at ES, all the reclaims are always being taken back. Yeah, that one didn't. But for the most part, it's always taking in the reclaims. The stocks are doing the same thing. Okay? The problem is, like, auction market theory and all that doesn't matter because now the markets are so connected. It's like, which one do you watch? Which one's leading? Which one is what? They're all just moving so different. Now, you can see the difference. Amazon's V-flushing. NVIDIA's not. So you can see how stocks are different enough. Unlike Russell and NASDAQ, they're too much the same at this point. That's not good. You want them to work together. At least I do. But you also want it to be different enough. And then when there's brief moments of alignment. And the path of least resistance is the slip or the reclaim. Notice how they're all dumping, all right? So they're all dumping. There is quite a bit of reclaim down there. Microsoft is taking a huge dump. Watch the pullback. I want to shimmy back. Well, I was going to fucking get long right there. Show you an example. So I want to go to where the reclaims are. And when they move a lot, they're always putting in reclaims. And this has nothing to do with the order flow because it's no longer individual. There's still a lot of reclaim up, but I'm a little hesitant about this because they're running out of reclaim on the upside. Hitting a place of resistance on NVIDIA. Looking for a slight pullback here. Not going to get it. Again, my trading is challenging. Looking for a slight. See, now they're starting to chop walk. All these pivots are resistance. I want to trade into the reclaim. Let's see if they can shove it back right here. Slight reclaim up. I'm gonna not get hit on it and cancel that. See, I don't know what's to the left of the chart, so I don't know what else is down below us. Never really directionally biased. Watching the stocks. There's the good reclaims are above us. Let's get a slip back entry if we can. It's so volatile. I'm gonna have a hard time getting what I'm looking fucking for. A lot of patience. So we knew it would be long, but we're gonna miss some. It's frustrating. Well, it's not frustrating for me. It's just part of it. Because I have a video called Trading Emotions. I talk about. We know there's a shitload of reclaim below us and above. Let's get a shimmy back. Now, see how it's stalling right under me? I need to pull that for a tick. I could have got the 4 out of it right there. Where's the reclaims at? I'm not even... I want to be aware of ES where its reclaims are. Huge dump. Shimmy back where they're taking the reclaims back. And then dumping a little bit more. Right about here, I could probably get the 3 ticks right there. And this is why I scalp. That's where the edge is. That's how it's done. That's it. That's it. That's how it's done. That's where it is. They're always taking the slips and the reclaims back. I want the multiple products to align because if you notice, they're not always have reclaims and slips in the same direction. But you notice when they move really hard, they're taking those hard moves back. Always. Almost always. There's a time when they don't, but like this big move, they took it back. It's very nuanced. And I mean, the coffee is me narrating trades like this, me reviewing trades like this, me talking about my mistakes, where to get better, because I do make mistakes. I absolutely make mistakes. What was it? 2-3 days ago, I took 44 trades. In the first 24 trades, I was floundering. I like dipped down to like just over 3 grand and brought it up to positive 600. And the last half of the trades was where the money was made and finished it out at 4 grand. Well, when I reviewed the session, it was a 2-hour review on the coffee. And if you're watching that, you're seeing where I made mistakes, and you see how today and the prior day, how I completely corrected those mistakes. So the coffee isn't just like, well, what do you do exactly? It's how I'm making mistakes, correcting them. It's everything. And there's certain things that don't work anymore that I don't look at. There's certain things that are valid in today's environment that weren't valid in yesteryears. See, they don't always have reclaims in the same areas. And the problem is when they rip up like that, they're going to shimmy back. So it's going to dump it a little bit, just like that. Now that dumped it a lot. Okay. They're always putting in these pockets, these voids. Okay. And when we look at the order flow, when we see, again, the markets are globally connected. That's why I'm looking at this shit. Because NASDAQ, ES, and Russell are the goddamn almost same products now. Due to the liquidity difference, they're gonna drift different. I mean, look right here. Here it is. They're moving the same, moving the exact same. So you're gonna tell me that the order flow in the futures, you can read that. When we just took 2 example trades, yeah, they're not the biggest trades, but I have a video called "Stop Forecasting." It's a couple of videos back. You can't predict. You can't predict beyond the next few seconds. You can't, because the longer you're holding a trade, the bigger the move you're looking for, the more hundreds of millions of combinations you're introducing. Look at these products moving the same, dumping at the same rate, moving up at the same, pulling back the same. This is still tick compressed, by the way, on NASDAQ. So which order flow is real? Which order flow do I read? All of it? Come on, geniuses in the comments section. Which one do I read now? Do I read the order flow on all of them now at the same time? How am I showing you that the stocks are moving it? How is it Bitcoin doesn't even move on order flow? Same illusion. Same fucking illusion. I don't give a fuck if some of you want to sleep. I mean, you guys have told me, hey, you know, this and that, and I've offered you to come and show me on the hard fucking right edge, and nobody's taken that fucking challenge. Prove me wrong and I will make a fucking video saying I'm wrong, you're right. But you're going to have to show me 10 trades on the hard right edge, and I will make a video called I'm wrong, you're right. But I'm telling you, this ain't the same market it was a year ago. You got to think more. AI is becoming more and more of a thing. Now look at this. Look at this is Microsoft. When it dumps, it leaves a reclaim, it takes the reclaim back. When it rips up, it takes the reclaim back. And then it puts a reclaim behind it. So there's a technique called shimmy backs. I don't have a video on it, and I'm going to make an exclusive video on coffee for it. Because you got to watch out. Look, rips up, takes some of the reclaim back. Rips up, takes the reclaim back. You seen this? Takes the reclaim back. That's all it does. It wants to fill in these voids. The entire market is trying to fill in these fucking voids. Dumps. Trying to take the reclaim back, but it doesn't always do it immediately. There's nuance to it. There's some reclaim down here. Look, there they go, taking it. But then when they take it, they create a new one. Then they create a new one. Taking it back. Taking it back! Taking it back! Taking it back! Look at the time at the top of the fucking video. It's 2:41. It's a real session, Kevin. I got no problems, Kevin. You think I'm getting fucked up, Kevin? I've been doing just fine. That's the name of the hater. It's probably a fake account, too. It's funny because he wanted me to share facts, but he argued from speculative, emotional standpoints, saying I don't know how to read order flow and this is all bullshit. Well, you know what's bullshit is the order flow, and I'm proving it. I'm proving it. But you didn't make it through the entire fucking video, did you? You just read the title and made a comment. Because most of the population, if not half of the population, has fucking brain rot at this point. You know what brain rot is? When I look at my YouTube videos and the fucking click-through dumps within the first few seconds. You know why? Because a lot of you are guilty of this. You click on a video, let it play for 10 seconds, you're already fucking bored and you're moving on and looking for the next video. And then you do it on the same video. You turn on the next video, let it play for 10 seconds. Turn on the next video, let it play for 10. Always looking for that next high. No different than people who are mindlessly scrolling through corn videos, just looking for the next one, this one, then do it. And that's the same thing. Oh, look at this title. I'm going to say something and then move on. I have a guy that admitted that he fucking commented 15 minutes into a video over an hour long. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame. Shame. Because you didn't get you didn't see the whole fucking story. It's like watching a movie and you didn't fucking finish the movie and you're already saying something. Somebody come and fucking read order flow for me. 10 trades. For the love of God, so I can make a video called You're Right, I'm Wrong. I will do it. I have no shame in myself. I used to have a fucking webcast and I got my nuts waxed on a fucking live stream. It was blurred out, but I went and got my fucking nuts waxed on a live stream. I don't give a fuck. I'll make a video called I'm Wrong, You're Right. So someone please sit down. I'll keep you anonymous. But as far as I'm concerned, with the evidence I have, it's pretty evident that there's something going on that is completely different. It's not the same markets. It's not the same markets. Auction market theory has gotten a lot fucking sloppier. It's different. It's different. Okay? Because now all these markets are so synced up. So whose auction market theory process is right and whose is wrong? Auction market theory is working, but now that the markets are so globally connected at this point and so arbitraged, and I don't know, maybe everything is going to trade exactly the same and individual tickers are never going to matter in the future. I've heard we're going to go into a liquidity crisis, and essentially we are having a liquidity crisis because it's all moving the same. There's no individual entities playing anymore to make it different across the different markets. And if they are, they're all kind of just fleeting from each other at this point. This used to not be like this. I've been through plenty of regime shifts. If you watch my How to Read a DOM video, you'll see how ES was so much thicker. After COVID, got thin, never got thick again. Regime shift. Things change. This is what makes trading difficult, is the regimes are always shifting. I think now that we live in a more technological world, we're going to see more and more rapid regime shifts. Whatever's going on, these reclaims and slip vacuums, and I've slowed them down to try to figure out why they're doing that. I have theories on it. This video has been long enough. The point of this video is to emphasize what I talked about in the last video. The markets are moving the same. So again, whose VWAP is right and whose VWAP is wrong? Do we need to look at Russell's VWAP now? Or do we need to look at NASDAQ's VWAP? Do we need to look at NVIDIA's VWAP? Which one is it? And the auction process is still happening. But the thing is, now that the markets are so connected and they're moving so much the same now, and there's less and less individuality, that, yeah, there's still individuality, especially in the stocks. And due to the stocks, they're moving ES and NASDAQ, obviously, right? But the thing is, they also have auction processes. The whole auction market theory game still works in the stocks. The difference is, when you're looking at your Mag 7 your Googles, your Apples, because even sometimes Google will rip up and it doesn't affect ES. Sometimes it does. Okay, there's a connect disconnect. But when you're playing traditional auction market theory stuff, all the stocks are in different places. Like, well, I can show you guys now. So here's 6 of the 7 stocks: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft. Notice, I mean, they still have their own auction processes. Like, there was a range up here, so hypothetically there would be a bell curve there. For whatever reason, when you draw bell curves on stocks, they always look shit, but that one actually looks good. So that's Amazon. You can see it broke out and it's pivoting and hitting the back end of the value area. This would be like a textbook auction market theory play. It's actually happening in Google as well. You can see the curve. And they happen at exactly the same time. That's probably why they're more in sync. So you got to really look for that syncing. But for the most part, NVIDIA didn't do that. Microsoft didn't do that. Apple's not doing what these two did. And Meta's definitely not doing that either. And when we look at ES on the 30-second chart, so you had the big blowout right there, which I'm going to go ahead and show you. And then they're pulling back. And Google's dumping. Amazon's dumping, like they're going to continue. Well, if we look at ES here, you can see that it did dump with them, but notice how it's staying up in here, and it's not retaking this V shape. Whereas when you look at Google, so as you can see right here, you know, ES blew out with Google and Amazon, but notice how it's staying up here versus, you know, Google taking it back. Amazon's taking it back. But when we look at ES, it's not taking it back. Why? Because the other stocks are causing that issue, because the other stocks are not agreeing with this down move on Amazon and Google. So it's very evident NVIDIA has a lot of pull and it's ripping up. It's in an uptrend right now. So ES is being like tugged and pulled by the stocks going in different directions. And this is why it's so choppy. This is why it's so choppy. So yeah, you're going to get the move, but is it going to sustain? Because the other stock, no, because the stocks are always in different places. So ES is like, there's these brief alignments and then it goes, but then they fall out of alignment so fast. Brief moments of alignment in the stocks, goes, falls out of place. And then it's all choppy, then ES gets choppy. All right, but as far as individuality of order flow goes and futures, it's just a different world we live in. And I think a lot of the shit you guys are learning might be old, out of date, and it doesn't fucking matter anymore. Because honestly, the auction market theory setups and processes in ES have gotten drastically dirtier over time. And I do you know how I know? Because you guys complain to me about it all the time. There is a realm of trade. I talk to a lot of traders, and you guys are telling me how everything's coming back. Merritt told me on the phone how everything was coming back, and he had to make adjustments too. The markets are changing fundamentally. This is why I've given up on holds. I used to be able to do them real well. Then they became more and more of a problem. This is why scalping's an important skill set. And this is why I made this video right here at the beginning of the year. Like, I've known this has been a problem for a while. And I've been talking about it for a long time. By the time I make content on YouTube for you guys, it's like there's a lag effect. Like, I've been talking about this for a long time. This will be in the description as well. You know, this video right here, stop forecasting trades. Now that the markets are becoming more and more synced, they're all feeding off of each other. So the moment of, like, there's no real individuality anymore. So now you got to look at it more globally. And when you're trying to play an auction market theory pattern or whatever in just ES, well, Russell might be somewhere different, but they're moving the same. So who's doing what? And then the stocks are all in their own different deal. I mean, it's just all kind of like auction processes don't get to finish. Like, if you watch my first correlation video, I tell you how I started learning about correlations. Because I noticed ES was starting to fail targets more and more. Then I realized ES was failing targets more and more because Russell was hitting its auction process target. Playing value area breaks, all that bullshit. Hitting specific pivot points. Well, as Russell was hitting those areas and dumping back, it would cause ES not to completely complete its run to target and dump back as well. And this was when I started to notice that ES is not hitting its targets anymore. And it's because other markets are hitting their targets or hitting a crucial pivot point. And due to the global connection, it's causing it to happen in ES. I mean, this is different. It's different. It's radically different. I mean, the same bullshit that's... the same old that's worked all these years. For some of you guys, I don't see that working. This is why I'm against VWAP, because now you got to look at it globally. But what continues to happen are slips and reclaims. Somebody says, oh, just see what the algo's doing. They're leaving patterns. They certainly are. Slips and reclaims. And if the markets are globally connected, you can get that shit to align. Now, if you guys are interested, coffee is in the description. Copy and paste it into the thing. You can see the trades from today. You can see the trades from yesterday. There's a 2-hour DRC episode earlier in the week where I show all my mistakes, how I'm going to correct them, and then I corrected them. It's not from the sake of where the edge is. It's like seeing me evolve as a trader too. And I had a guy who's been a sub this entire time, actually. This guy's been watching me on coffee for a long time. He said, other day, had a nice 4-tick win. Hit some key on accident and must be a hot key I forgot about. And was long at the top of range and lost about 2 to 3 times my previous win. So he fucking fucked up and he took a big blowout. I blow that stuff off now, but in the past would tilt big time and so often lose 5 times more than what I lost now. Watching you and calm mentality even after being fucked is making me a lot more calm. So this guy's watching me get into trouble because I get into trouble too. Trading's hard. Trading is still hard. It's still challenging. Okay? But this guy who's been a long time coffee sub, him watching me stay calm during... Because the way I act in these YouTube videos is not how I act during a trading session. You can hear it in my voice. It is a completely different fat cat. I do this because it's YouTube. It's entertainment. Right? It's fun to come out and be a degenerate. But when it comes to game time, it's the time to be serious. And this trader can hear it in my voice. And him seeing me handle getting absolutely wackadoodled calmly is helping him find that place too. Because this is also a mental game. This is a fucking mental game. So it's not just what I showed you. There's so much more going on. Okay? So with that being said, I will see you in the next one.